I think it might be scripted to get a letter every time you accomplish a major event in the game. Like every time you beat a dungeon. Like, I guess it's a good feeling of plot progression. How is a wimpy looking guy like that able to tolerate running for great distances to deliver mail? And where is he even running to? It's like he can't go back to Castletown because of the Twilight Wall. So where is he running to, and where has he been staying? I mean, he sure as hell hasn't been staying in Kakaroo Village. So, like, is he just some sort of homeless guy? Like, sometimes you just see him sitting around random areas. He sits kind of weird. Like, he sits, like, I wouldn't say cross-legged. He's a very quirky character. I don't really like his design, though. Like, his beady, derpy eyes and his chin. And these are basically crows. Like, these are crow groups. And when you kill all of them, they give you a huge amount of rupees. Like it's a pretty good way to grind for money. Because they actually respawn. And if you kill the same group of crows, like again, they'll actually give you more money. There isn't really that much money grinding in this game though, it's not like in Wind Waker. And at the same time, they don't hand you nearly as much money as in Wind Waker. Which is good considering that you're stuck with a 600 rupee wallet for like forever. Like the only way that you can get bigger wallets is to give golden bugs to a little girl. It's a long story. Like, you give her only one golden bug to get a 600 rupee wallet. And it takes forever to get the giant wallet. I don't understand why you can't just start out with it. But yeah, it's pretty convenient that caves have like lantern oil like just available for you. So you don't really have to worry about running out of oil a lot of the time. I get that they want to be realistic, because, like, this is a very realistic looking designed cave. It's all tunnels, it's all narrow, it's not very interesting looking. Like, I get it, okay, I get it. Caves in real life are not supposed to be wide open spaces, like the ones in the 2D Zelda games, like in Link to the Past. Like, I'm thinking of the cave where you go to get the piece of heart in Dark World. Like the one they use the magic cape to get there. Like that has a wide open space in it. I get that this is how caves realistically look, but that doesn't mean that I like it. Like, I get this game's going for a realistic art style, but like this isn't very interesting. Like, I kind of like it, like it makes it easier to navigate through, but it's not very interesting when it's just tunnels. Like, all you're doing in them is just progressing and defeating enemies. Why do they still spawn in Poes when you're at a point in the game where you can't defeat any of them? That just seems like fundamentally bad design. I mean, I guess it's for you to remember that he's there so you can go back to kill him later, which I do eventually, but still. Like, it's pretty frustrating and annoying finding an enemy that you can't kill. It feels like bad game design. What's also fundamentally bad game design is the way that the post system was handled. So it's a good thing that in the HD version, like I said before, they keep track of which pose you defeated. They tell you how many pose are left in an area. So it feels like it's actually possible to beat them all this time. Like, you still need to rely on a guide, but at least you don't require having to memorize every single one that you've defeated and write it down. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to be defeating every Poe in the game. I didn't technically 100% Wind Waker, and I'm not doing it for this playthrough. But yeah, this is the Hawkeye. This is basically the replacement for the telescope. But it takes so long to aim with it that I don't really care. it's much more satisfying to hit a target that you've seen with your own eyes. Even if my eyes aren't really the best, I can still generally hit far away enemies just fine. Like, I don't need the Hawkeye. The Hawkeye is even more useless than the telescope. And that's saying something. Like, at least the telescope was mandatory for one part of the game. I like how the Bubblins are one-shotted by the arrows. Like, it's really nice to have a weak enemy that you can actually one-shot. Because again, most of the enemies in this game tend to just pad themselves out. Even, like there's no such thing as an enemy other than the Keese, I guess, that you'll be able to one-shot. Like, even if you use a spin attack, you can't kill Bubblins in one hit. You can't kill the purple guys in one hit. So it's good that you can one-shot the Bubblins. It really encourages you to use arrows against them. And like aim at them from far away. This is a pretty wide open field with not much to do in it. I used to call it the bull field when I was a kid. And I would actually spend a lot of time there. Like, I would spend a lot of time fooling around when I was a kid. I would pretend that Link was going on a war. And I would basically fight and defeat the bull riding Bubblins. Like, they're the people that Link was going to war with. And a weird thing was that I would wear an armor that, when you think of it, was pretty bad of a decision to wear because it's very vulnerable to fire attacks. But I guess I just wanted to give myself the extra challenge, and I really liked how it looked. Like, it made Link look more tribal. So I guess he was like a tribesman fighting. But yeah, I like that place. Although it's really empty with not much to do. Like, there's one underground cave in it, but it's so, like, basically all the field looks the same. It's really hard to find the underground cave in it. I think there's actually 2 underground grottos in it, and one of them has, like, fish that you can fish up, and, like, they're bomb fish. And speedrunners actually use that cave a lot, but I wasn't actually able to find it. Remember when Midna said to you that these weapons are no match for the Shadow Beast? And that's why she just held on to the Orden Sword for you? Well, you're able to attack the Shadow Beast just fine with the Orden Sword here. So, yeah. There's a very infamous glitch in the GameCube version of Twilight Princess. If you save after this point, but before entering the Twilight, you'll actually respawn on the wrong end of the broken bridge. And it'll be completely impossible for you to progress with the game because you won't be able to cross that broken bridge. Now, I've heard about glitches where you can, like, open the GameCube lid while the game is still running at the right time. Like, I think while you're transitioning, that will basically make it so that, like, it'll have the map glitch effect. Like, you'll be able to ride your horse, like, over pits. Maybe you'd be able to use that to cross the bridge. I don't really know. But yeah, that's a pretty inexcusable glitch. And again, that's a glitch that comes from save points. Like, if there were save points, you'd still have that glitch happen. It's a matter of it respawning you in the wrong place. Why didn't they have a save point? Like why didn't they have a respawn point after the bridge got destroyed? Why didn't they have a respawn point that spawned Link on the right side of the bridge? I don't hear much about that glitch from the Wii version. I'm not really sure how they managed to not have it. Especially considering that the Wii version is the buggier, earlier version of the game. Maybe it's just not as famous on the Wii version because the cannon room glitch is so much more infamous. I'm not really sure how though. Like, why would you ever save and quit in the cannon room? I honestly don't understand why. Like, I can understand sort of like saving and quitting right before you enter the Twilight, but after beating the like breaking the bridge. But I can't understand why you would like get right up next to the cannon and then save and quit before warping it. Like you're right there. I mean, why don't you just warp it right away? Like the sheer fact that so many people discovered that glitch is baffling. Like, I'm not blaming them. Like, it's definitely Nintendo that's at fault here. I'm just surprised that so many people ran into that glitch in the first place. Like, I guess a lot of people coincidentally had to, like, shut the game off for bedtime or something right when they're just about to warp the cannon. A sizable amount of the unused sound effects for this game are related to the scrapped magic meter. The rest are called Navi Call Voice, Navi Blink, Navi Talk Start, and End. Was Navi planned to return in this game, or what? I mean, it does make sense, considering that in the Wii version of the game, like, there's a pointer on the screen, and that pointer looks like Navi. So it looks like you have Navi the Blue Fairy following you around. But she doesn't actually talk, so I guess she was planned to talk at one point. Thank God she didn't. So Z2 CS Wave is a Wii Remote sound file that contains 2 unused Navi sound clips. SPK Wave is a Wii Remote sound file that contains some sound effects from Super Mario Galaxy, which was in development at the time of the release of Twilight Princess. Quoting all of the unused text would take forever, and I have no way of knowing who said every line of dialogue anyways, so I'll summarize the interesting ones. A town person could have said that if you give him some money, he'll be nice to you. That seems pretty suspicious sounding. There's an unknown shop where you could have bought goat stew and roast beef for under 21 rupees. Maybe you originally planned to be able to actually buy the food that's sold in Castletown? Because in South Castletown, there's actually a whole bunch of actual food stalls. So it actually looks believable that people could be living and surviving that town. Because like in every other town in an adventure game, you don't really see actual food being sold. Like that's definitely the case for Kakri Goat Village. Like you don't see any actual groceries being sold. You just see like a red potion. So I don't really understand why you couldn't have just, like every time you try to buy regular food in South Castletown, like they just make up some excuse about like it being way too expensive or something, even if you have a full wallet. So if everyone in Hyrule has a wallet way larger than the giant wallet, just so they can buy regular food, then why is it that Link is stuck with a really small wallet smaller than everyone else? That's stupid. It's interesting that the Bubblins are actually smart enough to understand that oil can burn. That oil is very flammable. Every time I see that cutscene where Midna's like, hey, do you smell anything funny? I always think of how horribly the human Link's model glitches up when you're human and you're in that cutscene. Because you can actually get here as a human, and obviously if you can't be a wolf at this point in the game, you're pretty much screwed. Like you can actually use the horse to clip through the wall in Western Fair and Field. Like you can just get up to it, you can just get out of the horse at the right angle next to the fence and roll through it. And then after you progress enough, you'll actually be warped to the center of the bridge. But you'll be a human, so once you get here, it'll be completely impossible for you to progress through the game. So yeah. Basically, there are a lot of ways to make this game possible to beat. Like, there's the cannon room glitch. You can actually skip getting Midna's attack that allows you to beat the boss of this place. There's the bridge glitch. And you can make it so that you're here as a human, but aren't able to turn into a wolf. This has the most unwinnable glitches out of any game I've played. And any game I've heard of. This guy looks really weird. Like why is he wearing a pink shirt? And a pink shirt that bears his midriff at that. Like he's an old man and a man. Like isn't that something that, like, the men of this place that are running that minigame are dressed up like women. I don't know why. I guess this is supposed to be some sort of weird Japanese humor. Like, oh, look at these crazy cross-dressing men. I'm not really sure how this game managed to get away with that. Especially since they're old men, so there's no way they can even remotely qualify as fan service. I honestly would have preferred it if it was just, like, women wearing those clothes instead. I think it would have been a lot more charming. This is really annoying. Wanna know why? Because they don't really tell you how the hell you're supposed to actually attack the bird that he summons. Here's the problem with this boss fight. He's so high up in the air that it doesn't really strike me as fair that you're supposed to attack him. Because every time you try to attack him, you end up missing because he's too high up in the air. And sometimes, like you think that the Midna's attack would allow you to target him, since you can target Poes that are flying up above you with the Midna attack just fine. But not only does that not work for him, but the bubbling can shoot projectiles at you while you're trying to target it. And then it flies downwards and then it grabs you and throws you down. And that happens over and over and over again. The only way that you can attack this boss is to take advantage of the sloping terrain and jump on it from the high ground. This is the only time in the entire game that a use of elevation is used and mandatory for beating a boss. Or an enemy for that matter. How are you supposed to get the idea that you need to take advantage of hilly terrain in order to be high enough to attack the boss? This is literally something you've never had to do ever any point in the game. And there's also the fact that because you're in Twilight, you can't at all heal yourself. Like, I was looking around for dig spots, but I couldn't find any. I don't understand why Midna can't just feed you a potion. I don't understand why she can't just give you, like she stores away her inventory items for you in hammer space, so if she cares about Link not dying, why doesn't she just give you a red potion? Yeah, I saved here because I knew that I was going to die. I actually had to look up a guide to figure out how the hell I was supposed to beat this guy. I just don't understand, like I'm up here, I targeted him. Why didn't he get targeted? That works on Poes just fine. That works on pretty much anything, but not that guy. And like that seems like just an ordinary trumpet bird. Like I like the surreal feeling of the birds that fly after you in the Twilight, making trumpet sounds. But I just don't get what's so special about that thing that makes it so bullshit to deal with.